Welcome to A Calm Response Lit Fest, Season 7. I've just finished reading a very interesting book called From Ahmedabad to Barbados, The Great Indian Redemption, written by two young budding authors, Sidharth Gulati and yashaswee Raman. For me, they will be Sid and Yash in this conversation. A very warm welcome to you both. I just want to open this up by asking you that this whole book is obviously a journey from Ahmedabad to Barbados, the ODI World Cup final, which we lost so badly to Australia. And I still have nightmares of Travis Head. Whenever I see him, it is a bit like remembering Gabbar Singh, wo aayega aur neend aapki haram ho jayegi. So that, and then the wonderful win at Barbados, the T20 win. So when you look at the final win, and let's open with what you feel Rohit Sharma went through, the transformation which you've brought up very nicely in this book about from a defensive mindset to a very attacking mindset. What was that journey of Rohit Sharma?
Yashaswee, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go with this. So basically, if we try to understand a captain's mindset after losing, a semi-final at Adelaide first in 2022, meek cricket, even in the book we wrote, it was not a very aggressive form of cricket. Meek form of cricket, not very aggressive, defensive, relying too much on the middle order. If you are the leader, you have to lead. You cannot be sitting in the, you cannot be in the background and just play the puppet. So with the World Cup coming in, he became a more aggressive cricketer. With 2023, we saw that he took on all the best bowlers in the world. Matt Henry, that six against Matt Henry at Dharamshala, one of the best memories I've ever had. The way he played against Chris Wokes at Lucknow, the way he played Shaheen Afridi at Ahmedabad, that was a very good, was a stepping stone. Saying that, all right, we had a meek approach, we need to change. We change, we start winning games. Again, that finals at Ahmedabad, he started off well, but fell prey to something called greed. 10 had already come of that over. But again, it was about expressing yourself, setting the tone from ball one, and that is what happened in the T20 World Cup. Initially, he was not able to convert those knocks, and but against Australia in the Super 8 game and in the very big semi-finals against England, we saw that there was change, and that mindset helped India to set the tone, get the
Can
runs.
I just butt in here and ask you that who sets the mindset? Is it the captain? Is it the coach? Is it the nucleus of the seniors of any team who decide that this is how we are going to go? Because for quite some time, like you're very rightly pointing out and mentioned in this book, India, despite having a lot of young players, modern players who were of the IPL era, always seemed to, whenever there was a big game happening, they always felt that, okay, let me anchor it now. And then when the power play comes, then we'll accelerate. And sometimes India would lose the big games like that, and which happened. So just to repeat the opening point, that who decides changes in approach, which is so crucial for the transformation of any team?
I have always believed it's one person to change the mindset of the whole thing. One person comes and says, "All right, I have to do this." The team's mindset changes, and Rohit Sharma, being the oldest in the team, being a player who has played for India almost for 19 years now, he said, "Okay, I'll put my foot down, and come on, let's do it the way we do. Go, bang, bang, and get the runs. Put the pressure on the opposition." I feel that was the way. It was one person, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to quickly read out one extract from your book, which says that to win the World Cup, India must embrace modernity, trust themselves, take risks, and never let caution kill courage. Then comes an interesting point about life, because in cricket, as in life, sometimes a painful loss is the only thing that shows you path towards greatness. How much do you believe in this pain factor?
I think there's obviously going to be a lot of belief that we have in this. And, one of the reasons why this book was written rather so fluently, and I use the word fluently with a lot of confidence here, because we knew that what we were doing. Usually, when you get on about writing a book, and then I'll come to your point that usually when we get on about writing a book, and usually it happens with a lot of writers also, as I have communicated with them, being a part of the media industry for well over a decade now. I think sometimes that writer's block, there's this term that usually is mentioned a lot that can kick in, and that can, lessen your confidence. But if we talk about, how much we believe in the fact that India must embrace modernity, they should be fearless and all that stuff, I think that has to be there. There literally has to be that case. You talk about Rohit Sharma, you're speaking about his mindset as to what really brought about a change in mindset, that loss in Adelaide in 2022. I think there has to be a sense of realization from your inner self, and that's how there is a change in mindset, there is a change in the thought process, and that's exactly what happened with India. So usually when you're reaching the semi-finals or the finals of a big tournament, you know that you have to cross that final hurdle, but then somewhere down the line, at the back of your mind, you know that at least you are able to reach the final four of each and every tournament. So this time around for India, it was about starting from scratch. It was about having a different approach. It was about not really going into their shell. And it was about a captain who had that inner realization. And that's how he was able to communicate it with the same passion to all his teammates that, listen, boss, we have to do it irrespective of what the results happen in the future. We have to change this mindset. And that was actually reflected in India's approach in 2024. I'll basically, case in point being the 2024 T20 World Cup semi-final against England. So India had scored about 171, but they managed to defeat England comprehensively. So you look at the final scores of India versus England in the semi-finals of 2022 and in semi-finals of 2024, there was just a difference of 3 odd runs. What really changed for India? It was just the brave approach that they had from their captain, Suryakumar Yadav, the other bowlers led by Akshar Patel, and almost everyone there who managed to make sure that they brought their A game out.
This is another point about T20, which is personally, I've always felt that it is a very, very young man's game. And to even indulge people, the great players like Rohit Sharma himself, who was a little past his shelf life, I would say, you can completely differ. Virat Kohli, the great man, personally, I'm a huge fan of his, particularly where Test cricket is concerned. I can't say so much about the shorter format. So anyway, coming to the point, now if you have people like, and we are talking in reference to the last T20 World Cup, which we won in 2024, you had Rohit, you had Virat Kohli, and as a result, Rinku Singh couldn't be accommodated. Then Sanju Samson couldn't be taken in. The guys who really stood up and played well were people like Akshar, Hardik Pandya. So the main point is, does the BCCI or Indians by nature keep waiting for the slightly elderly gents to phase themselves out before taking tough decisions?
Sid, you want to take this or should I take it? There's some issue.
Yeah, please, Yashaswee, go. Because I think I lost my network for a few seconds. So yeah, just go on.
So basically, I've always believed in one more thing, that is, you need a little bit of experience at the in the team. When you see the T20 World Cup, you needed a few players who had to come out of the shelf. If you see after 2022, if you have to understand 2024 T20 World Cup, you have to understand 2022 World Cup as well. Now in 2022 World Cup, India lose in the semi-finals, and everybody starts thinking it's curtains for Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli. All right, you have a new captain, Hardik Pandya leads you. Hardik Pandya is leading you for 1.5 years in T20s. He leads you in New Zealand, he leads you in West Indies, he leads you at home, everywhere. Now, what actually happens is Hardik Pandya gets injured in the 2023 World Cup. You don't have any other option. The other option only remains at this point of time is Suryakumar Yadav. Not much experience as a captain. Who do you go to? And the difference between the 2023 World Cup and 24 was just 7 months. 7 months, India were playing around how many? 5 plus 3 plus 3. That is 11 T20s. 11 T20Is plus IPL. Now you can't groom a captain. You need to go back to somebody who has led in the format, who has led in the World Cup. The only option was Rohit Sharma. He wasn't retired. You could go back to him, say, all right, one more chance. Rahul Dravid is here with you. Both of you can lead the team and go ahead. Now, coming to your question about Virat Kohli, again, as I said, now tell me one thing. I'll just ask you a question, counter question. 34 for 3. 34 for 3. Do you think if it wasn't for Virat Kohli, would there had been any other player with Akshar Patel who could have taken the score to 177 or 178 in the finals?
Well, you yourself have been critical in your book where you say that Virat scored 76 of 59 and it was a very patchy innings to begin with. It's only later that he accelerated. And the second point you make is Akshar Patel actually changed the game with 47 of 31. So you are more laudatory in your book on that knock when a comparison is made. I totally get your point that you needed someone to anchor, but there are a lot of modern cricketers and modern commentators who feel that this word anchoring an innings in a T20 or even an ODI to some extent should be banned. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think most of the anchors who have actually said, or most of maybe the experts who have said this thing, that the job of an anchor or an accumulator, if there's a perfect synonym for it, it should really be banned. I think if we take a look at the other two formats, specifically the bigger ones, the ODIs and the Test cricket, if there has to be, any kind of a job that has to be the most important, the most relevant, or the most game defining, sometimes I would say it has to be that of an accumulator. And that's what you really need at most stages of the game, when you suffer a collapse, or for that matter, when you have to counter the most toughest of the conditions. That's how you really go about your work. But in T20 cricket, we talk about Virat's innings. So it was basically divided into two parts: the first 50 or 47 balls in the T20 World Cup final, and the remaining 26, 27 odd runs of the next 11 odd balls. I think there's a clear gap here. And there are two ways to look at it. So India had clearly suffered an early collapse. They were about 30 odd for 3. And then, it was because of Akshar Patel, Kohli's brilliant innings, 76 or 59, that India could get to about 175, 180 odd. But there's also another way of looking at it. That innings could have actually cost India the game. You just go until the 16th or the 17th over. India were clearly behind the ball there. They were clearly, on the brink of losing that game until some brilliance was done by Jasprit Bumrah and Hardik Pandya. So clearly there are many perspectives to look at it. And the ones that and obviously, Yashaswee also, to an extent, he believes that innings could have cost India the game. But towards the end, it turned out to be a good innings for India. It turned out to be a man of the match innings for India. But overall, I think if there is a term that should really be banned from T20 cricket, it has to be the accumulator one, because the game is really progressing. And I'll tell you a very real instance here. So in the last couple of years, after covering all that IPL, the Delhi Premier League, and all those, T20 leagues that take place across India, I can tell you one thing from a total honesty here, that I've spoken to a lot of younger players who are still, coming through the ranks, that under 14, under 16, under 18 cricket. And the one mindset that most of their coaches have told them to adapt is that try and hit every ball for a 6 in T20 cricket. That's the mindset that all these young players are being now taught as far as this T20 cricket is concerned. So yeah, definitely, this term should definitely be banned in T20 cricket, but yeah, not so in the other two formats.
Sid and Yash, there are 2 points which I find very interesting, which you have highlighted in the book, and I just want to extrapolate. One is fearless cricket, that the modern cricketer is told, enjoy yourself, enjoy the game, play fearless cricket. That is point 1. 2, this new phraseology has come in that play the ball, not the bowler. Why? Because if you're playing the bowler, it takes the pressure off. If you're playing the bowler, then the pressure is on if it is a big name. If you're playing the ball, then It's between you and the ball. But I heard a very interesting remark by Anjum Chopra and W.V. Raman. They were commentating on a match, and W.V., who's a good friend, also made this point about play the play the ball, not the bowler. So Anjum says, sir, ये कहना बड़ा आसान है, करना बहुत मुश्किल है. And particularly when you talk about the lineup of Stark, Bolt, Wood, Rashid, Matt Henry, Shaheen Shah Afridi, how do you separate this? That you will only play the ball, not the bowler, and remove fear from your mind.
So basically, the line which you're talking about was in perspective to Rohit Sharma and his fearless cricket. So now you have to understand this also, that when the bowler is bowling, he would also want to take the wicket of a big batsman. Rohit Sharma in white ball cricket is one of the greats, modern greats. Maybe in the 2010 decade, in the last 15 years, the greatest opener maybe. Could be debatable. So even the bowlers will try to get his wicket, will try to play the batter. Now, you have to play psychologically, and you have to be a step ahead. Maybe they will bowl 5 good balls, but they'll make one mistake, and you pounce on that mistake, and you hit that ball for a boundary and a six. Maybe step out and hit it for six. Matt Henry example, like I gave before as well. Now you see Matt Henry at Dharamshala, he was bowling well in the first over. He bowled well. In the second over, when he comes, Rohit Sharma takes 2 steps and hits it for a six. This actually changed the complexion of the game. Matt Henry after that was under pressure. He was not bowling well. He was not in the right length, and Rohit was able to attack him. And even the other Indian batsmen, for the same reason, even Virat Kohli and Shreyas Iyer and other players, Ravindra Jadeja, KL Rahul, whoever came after that, were able to score runs, and India won that game. So one change, one attack, one moment, moment of eureka can change everything. So that is the thing.
Okay. Talking about redemption, since your book is entitled The Great India Redemption, so over and above, obviously not just Rohit Sharma, but the team that lost after winning 10 back-to-back matches, and what a series it was, and what a heartbreak. Then let's talk about the good things also, like redemption. And there's one gentleman whom you have very rightly highlighted, that is Hardik Pandya. And that last over he bowled when they needed, 16 of 6. And then he gets David Miller and that controversial catch by Sky on the ropes, which is still debated whether it was a catch or not. But let's forget that. I want to talk about Pandya. Mercilessly booed during the IPL by his own people. Abused, vilified, crushed, defeated. And then this guy comes back, bowls that last over, and he becomes a hero. He, like you said, he wept bitterly. What are your feelings when you come across such redemption stories?
I think it's absolutely good. To be very honest, you really feel like a human at that particular point in time when you come across these redemption stories. In one of the chapters, I've clearly, it has been mentioned that apart from, in the new age era that we really live in, apart from reels and shorts, what really excites a lot of us is the underdog stories. You talk about Goran Ivanisevic, winning that famous Wimbledon in 2010, the famous Wimbledon wild card. There are a lot of other stories in wrestling and in other sports too. These are the things I think they really do matter a lot. But if we talk about, redemption, I think for Hardik Pandya, from whatever happened in IPL 2024 and for all the things that, he had faced, it was really uncalled for that matter. I think all the latest reports surfacing that Hardik Pandya knew that he would face a lot of boos, he would counter a lot of them, and he would really be ready for it. But from what I have learned, from all the sources and from what it has all been written, he was actually on the verge of breaking down after what happened in IPL 2024, and it was not really the most nicest of the things that a cricketer can face. And I think it's really down to the fans here, because you're booing your own cricketer just a month back, and maybe in that World Cup in June, you were actually cheering for him. So this is where I think the fans really need to question themselves, that where do their loyalty lies. And it's not really easy for any cricketer, because that outside noise, the white noise that has been famously termed by the former Australia coach Justin Langer, I think that does matter a lot. It mattered to the Australian cricketers when they suffered that sandpaper gate scandal in 2018. Steve Smith, Cameron Bancroft, David Warner, and when they returned, it did matter a lot to them. It did affect them. Same for Hardik Pandya. That was the case, and that's where I think the role of the management, the captain, you even have a sports psychologist, a team psychologist, and your own mental toughness. I think that matters the most. But for me, I think in this particular case, it has to be, total credit to Hardik Pandya for the way he basically dusted himself off, he picked himself up, he put on those brilliant performances, turned out to be India's invisible weapon in the T20 World Cup for throughout. If you look at his performances, chipping in with those crucial wickets, the 50 odd that he scored against Bangladesh took India out of a of a difficult situation there. So for Hardik Pandya, I think it turned out to be a great redemption story. For me, I think it's something that should be talked about a lot more in the years to come. And for the fans, definitely, I think it does leave them a question that where do their loyalty lies? I think how do they would really want to go about their work? It's just whether it's just IPL or whether it's just Indian cricket, you cannot really just make sure that you put someone down just because of the fact that you did not like something that happened with the most decorated franchise in the IPL history.
Very well said. But Indian fans are like that, and we know that. I mean, when a guy is riding, they praise them, and when they come down, oh boy, it's terrible. But anyway, let's come down to the last point in your book, which I want to highlight, which is an interesting point, Sid and Yash, that you were talking about the venue, particularly US, and the matches that were played, and then they moved on to the other venue, and young names like Basde Lead, Zishan Maqsood, Asad Wala, Sandeep Lamichhane, Aaron Jones, and Saurabh Netravalkar. And all young guys, and particularly Saurabh Netravalkar, who's an Indian who settled in the US in the IT sector. I mean, what a run he had, became a hero. What are your thoughts, both of you, on guys like this who are discovered, and do they have a future in cricket? Because he really became a big gun during the tournament.
Definitely,
Yashaswee, go on.
Yeah, definitely. Talking about the future in cricket, you will see a lot of these names again. Bas de Leader is one of the best all-rounders, associate all-rounders at this point of time. He can bat at 4, he can open the bowling, he can give you 10 overs for, 10 overs, take 3 wickets for 30, and, score at a strike rate of 110, 120. I'm talking about ODI, and in T20s at a strike rate of 130, 140. And Basde Leader has been in the circuit for the last 5-6 years now. Again, Saurabh Netravalkar played under 19 World Cup in 2010 for India. Goes to works for I think so Deloitte or EY Deloitte.
Yeah. Oracle.
Oracle. Yeah. It goes works for Oracle. He is an engineer. He's a researcher. Does well for himself, and plays cricket in his free time. Again, he has played the division leagues over there, Division 5, Division 4, Division 3, Division 2, came to Division 1, played for the state team, played for Seattle, played in the MLC, plays for US. So that has been a progression. And, again, seeing the T20 World Cup next year, you will see a lot of these names coming back again. And again, Italy qualifies. The African qualifiers are in some days. You will see a lot of names coming in. Joe Burns is there. Maneti brothers are there. There's also one. Tom Dracker is there, fast bowler. He played for the MI Abu Dhabi team. MI Emirates, sorry, in the ILT20. So a lot of these names will be there. And again, so one name which was not written in the book was Ali Khan. Ali Khan went on to play for a team called KKR in the IPL. He was selected, didn't play. So there are a lot of names, you never know who will do what. Sandeep Lamichhane got the wickets of Suresh Raina and Mahendra Singh Dhoni. So again, in the IPL in 2018. So again, there would be a lot of players who would be coming in. You never know who gets their chance and who becomes a hero. It is upon the players to, grab the chances.
I think, just adding to what Yashaswee has said, I have a slightly, different opinion in this case. So, I've been a big backer of, the associate nations or these, upcoming nations that we have in cricket. Before, there was a time, from 2020 until 2022 when I was doing my master's from IIM Rohtak in sports management. And at that time, I had a YouTube channel by the name of Cricket Spectacles. So there, I was in collaboration with two journalists from Australia, and we covered the associate nations, right? From Switzerland, Netherlands, Scotland, you name the nation, and we did, we did cover their stories. And I think the answer to your question, Arup, here is that it all boils down to the ICC here. How much of a chance the ICC wants to give to these growing nations? Even the share, the money that they usually get every year or every calendar year is not really that much for them to make sure that their cricket can really survive. They really have to put in their all money also from themselves, even for their division cricket. Believe you me, from all the nations that I've asked, I think one thing is pretty common, that the finance part hasn't really been taken care of. They have to make sure that they spend a lot from their pocket. There's no insurance also for that matter. There's no future, because for most of these cricketers, they have to do, their full-time jobs, and cricket basically acts as a part-time thing. Let's just go back to, I think, the COVID time. There was a Netherlands cricketer, I cannot really remember his name. He basically had to do a delivery man's job because he could not really pay his bills. So that's where I think the role of the ICC becomes even more important. They'll have to figure out a way to make sure that these nations do get a chance to play with a lot of, these top ranked teams like India, England, Bangladesh, or, New Zealand, or not even, these teams. Maybe they can even, try and have those series against the likes of West Indies, Bangladesh, who are still pretty much in the middle of the ICC rankings. It just boils down to the top cricket body here, how they can figure out a way. But if you ask me, I don't think the future really looks bright, because with all these T20 leagues coming in, how do you really squeeze out time to make sure that these nations, they get to play against the likes of Pakistan, West Indies, New Zealand, and all these nations? So it's going to be a lot tough. And this is where I think there has to be a lot of credit given to Afghanistan for all the performances that they have given, in the last few tournaments, and even in the bilateral series too. They have literally punched above their weight. They've defeated almost everyone except India in bilateral series, T20 tournaments, ICC ODI tournaments too. So I think the future does not really look bright. For some players, I think they might still be able to make a name for themselves, as per what Yashaswee has said. But I think it's still a long way to go.
Okay, before we conclude, just a few quick tips from both of you for young writers. I know both of you yourself are so young, but there are a lot of guys who love cricket, who want to write. What is your advice to them? How to go about it?
Yashaswee, you want to go?
Yeah, 2 words. When I wrote my first book as well, I just did this. Just 2 words. Just write. That's it. Just write. Whatever the thoughts are, you have to put it down on paper. And in 3 years I've written 3 books, so that's somebody called me a machine, but I don't know, it just happens. If you have an idea and you can just write about it, just write. And then there are so many publishers, you can just go talk to them, ask for help. The videos on YouTube where you can actually understand the process of writing. I know you cannot sit at one go and just write the whole book, but every day you can start writing with one line. You go to a page, you make it a chapter, and then slowly and steadily you will see the book is coming to an end. Your book is forming shape. So, that is the thing. Just write. Maybe rubbish, but still write.
That's actually a great advice. I think this is a first for me in the last 10 to 12 years or so, because, with whomever, I've had a chat with how to be a good writer, how to be an effective writer, how to be a versatile writer. There are many things that, several people have told me, but I'm going to leave you with one thing that has been passed on to me by one of my mentors only, and I still believe in it. And I think that's one of the major reasons why I've been able to write this book here, my first book, that you have to be on the top of your research. You have to be on the top of your material to write a book. Because if you have taken care of that particular thing, then words will naturally come to you. So the research part is important. The structure and all, all these things will happen later. But if you are on the top of your material, you'll be able to write it.
That's wonderful. So all the young writers who are listening to this, the advice from our 2 young authors is basically Number one, just write. And the second one is get your research right, because if your research is off the mark, then you're not going to go anywhere. Again, it was thoroughly enjoyable reading your book, From Ahmedabad to Barbados, The Great India Redemption. I wish you well. Ekam Response Litfest wishes you both all the very best. Keep on writing, and we'll meet again soon. Sid and Yash, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
It was a great chat. Thank you.